Yo, what is up guys, it's Pedro here, and in today's video I'll be bringing you guys my first mock draft for the Washington Commanders. We'll be talking about some potential draft rumors, something that JP Finley said maybe about a trade back, and some other stuff. If you guys are new, make sure to subscribe, hit that like button and that notification bell as well so you never miss a video on the road to 16K. It's going to be hard to hit it before the draft, but you know, it's still possible, so go ahead, help me get there. Let's get right into the video. So the Commanders are picking at 29. There could be a trade back, and we'll get into that rumor in a little bit, so stay tuned for I'll talk about that after the first round pick the Commanders make. So just wait until after the pick and we'll talk about that rumor. But, you know, the Commanders right here, they're picking at 29. I think a trade back is very possible and honestly likely in this, draft. Could it be in the first round, or maybe could it be with their second round pick, they trade from 61 into the third round and get some, draft capital. So this is the Pro Football Network mock draft. There's a few, but this is probably the best free version, and you can trade stuff like that. We're gonna do, because it is my first one, not gonna do a trade back mock draft. So I already started to sim it. I know who we're gonna pick, just to have the graphics up for you guys. But Colston Loveland's available. You got Ibuka, who's available. Luther Burden's available. Omarion Hampton, who I just don't think he's going to be there at 36. I really don't. I think he's going to be a top 20 pick. But edge rusher is the position here that I want. If there was a guy that was really, really good that somehow fell, I would maybe take him, like Omarion Hampton. I just don't think that's a possibility, so I'm not even going to entertain it that he's going to be there at 29. That's just my opinion. But here are the best edge rushers. You got Donovan Izaraku from Boston College, Landon Jackson, JTT from Ohio State. There's not a lot of great options. Josiah Stewart. I'm trying to see any other guys. APR, not going to be a first-round pick, obviously, but still a stud. But I want to take Donovan Izaraku from Boston College, and here's why. Let's just go over some information about him. I mean, super athletic freak. The biggest problem with him is he is a little bit undersized, but it was outstanding last year at Boston College. And let me pause this. Was outstanding last year at Boston College. 16 and a half sacks last year. 16 and a half sacks, won the Ted Hendricks Award as the nation's top defensive end, first team Associated Press All-Conference, ACC Defensive Player of the Year, first team All-SEC, or not SEC, All-ACC. I mean, 16 and a half sacks, 20.5 TFLs, 3 forced fumbles, played in 12 games. And he's a team captain. That is very, very good production. Very good production. So, not only is, has good production, but, you watch the games, he's pretty good as well. I mean, I didn't watch the tape, but I was watching some of the highlights. And, once we get close to the draft, which we're getting close, man, I'll start to watch some of the highlights for sure. But we're 3.5 weeks away from the draft. But he's undersized, which is, slightly an issue. But, gets, the production's there. 16.5 sacks. He also is decent in the run game. Captain is good as well and has some good traits. He didn't run a 40. I don't know what he would have ran. The vertical jump is there. 35.5 is pretty good. And the combine, rank, he got number 2. So I don't know, I'm not an expert on all these numbers right here, but that is pretty good for a defensive end. I'll go ahead and let's see if I can find the RAS score from him, just because it is a good option to look at. But Jordan Reed here was talking about him. He thinks he is a player to watch. If he's, and I didn't even say this, I don't know why. If he's here, I would, run to the podium and take him. I just don't think he's going to be here, but it's a possibility. Was viewed as an early day 2 prospect in January, but has, flown up the ranks on the draft boards and could be as, picked as high as 15, maybe 18 to the Seahawks, but, he could be there at 29. And if he gets picked really early, then maybe one of the other guys like James Pierce or Mike Green dropped down. Let's see, RAS, just to look at this for you guys. So he is a DM prospect decent, 8.28, ranked 311 out of 1,800 defensive ends from 1987 to 2025. The biggest, issues were the height and weight. Bench press, I think they showed it. He got 22, but the vertical jump or leap, broad jump was really good. Shuttle's very, very good, and three cone was very, very good as well. So that's who I had the Commanders picking. The draft rumor, and just maybe not a rumor, but I mean, this part of it is where Jackson Dart is flying up the ranks, and it's it's unlikely now that he makes it out of the first round. If that's the case, a team could possibly try, like what JP Finley's alluding to here, trade back into the first. And if that's the case, the Commanders can get not a king's ransom, but when it's a quarterback, usually teams give up a little bit more. So something to keep in mind. Maybe the Commanders go from 29 to 36 or something. Maybe, I was going to say like a Giants would make sense, except for they're in the NFC East. But a team that, maybe is picking in the top 5, top 10, wants a quarterback, didn't take one in the first, and wants to take one in back end of the first round. You trade back 7-8 spots, and you get, a decent amount of draft capital. Let's get into the second round of the draft. I'm not gonna focus on trading back in these drafts, but Jackson Dart's still here somehow. Travion Henderson is still here as well. I'm very, very tempted to take him. I would be really, really surprised. I would be very, very surprised if he is there in the second round at 61. At 61, I think is a little bit crazy. You got Scadaboo, who's decent. You got Bashal Tutin, who I think is a stud. He's not. I think it's a little early to take him right here, but definitely wouldn't mind it. All right, I think this is more realistic. I really would like to take. I would like to take Travion Henderson. I just don't think he's going to be there at 61. That's just my take. I've seen him go in the first round in some of these mock drafts. Femi right there, edge rush out of UCLA is another option. I also don't think he's going to be here. Azrae Thomas, I don't know if he's going to be here or not. I've seen him as early as late first round, but I've seen him mid second as well, so mid late second. So that he's an option. Exciting corner prospect with a unique skill set. Went to FSU, only a 1-year starter. Lack of experience can be viewed as a positive and negative. He's not a refined player as it stands today, but he has a lot of room for improvement and will only get better with more playing time and NFL coaching. Has a lot to like, in terms of physical standpoint. Tall and excellent length overall to play as an outside boundary corner in the NFL. You can read some of the other stuff. So I think that's who I am going to take. I don't know. Travion Henderson, he's not going to be there at 61. And if he was, you run to the podium there. Let's see. Azrae Thomas, I don't know exactly where he's going to go. So this might also be a player that probably won't be there. But something to keep in mind. I'll just go over here for some other, so you guys can get some other information here. Blah, blah, blah. Let's see if it says where he's going to go. His coverage got stickier this year and he just looks stronger and more under control. Not sure about his speed, though. All right. So if you guys have a good idea of where you think he's going to go, let me know. I would say probably early to late second, and the Commanders would be getting a steal here. So we'll take Azrae Thomas for the Commanders at cornerback. And now the Commanders don't pick for a decent amount. So they don't pick in the third round, and I believe they do pick in the fourth, but that is the Texans' pick. So right now, you're in the fourth round. You got 2 defensive players, and I think that's important. You need to add to the defensive side of the ball. Now you have some other options. Do you take a running back? This is the problem with not taking Henderson there, is the running back selection here is not amazing. There's definitely some, decent options for sure. Let's see. Well, you know what? We'll wait for running back. We'll wait for running back and get one later, just because I don't know how realistic some of these options are in the late fourth round, if Dylan Sampson's going to be there, stuff like that. But a guy that makes sense and the Commanders have shown some interest in is Ty Felton, wide receiver out of Maryland. Also, DMV native, went to Stonebridge. So, same, not college, high school as John Allen. So we'll take Ty Felton here. Had really good production, super athletic, 6'1", 183 pounds. I think, you want them to add a little bit more to the offense here. and because your first 2 picks were defense, and I think you do need another receiver, a younger guy that maybe you can develop. So Ty Felton is going to be that guy. Had really good production this past year for the Terps. Shout out, speaking of DMV sports, shout out to Ovechkin yesterday for tying the record. Also shout out to my roommate Abdullah, who runs DMV sports, so make sure you guys check him out. All right, so the Washington Commanders here, they are in the 6th round. This is what, they have one more pick after that? Yeah, they have one more pick. So I am thinking running back here, and a lot of the best options are at the running back position. If Taj Brooks was available here, I would take him, but he is not. So Jordan James is an option. You got Jaden Blue, who is an option as well. I'm trying to think of any other interesting options here for the Washington Commanders at the running back position. You got Donovan Edwards. The options I really want are not here. So this is a situation where if they do trade back in the 1st round or even the 2nd round, they can take a running back, a little bit earlier, which is what I would like. So we'll go ahead, take the second best player available, and take Jordan James out of Oregon, a solid option there at the running back position. So the Commanders have one more pick, and you have some options here. Thomas Fadone, Brandon. I'm not going to lie and tell you guys I know these guys besides some of them like Trevor Etienne and, some of these options, especially, if they're Hokies, I know them. But I think, they didn't take an offensive lineman, and 7th round is probably not going to help you much, but might as well take an offensive lineman there, see what you can do with him, see if you can, develop him a little bit. He is one of the best available players and at a position of need. So let's go ahead and take Brandon Crenshaw Dixon at 245. I think this is a solid option. You take your first 2 picks are defense, edge rusher, and cornerback and Azariah Thomas. Then you add to the offense a little bit. So some people might be like, you added 3 players to the offense and 2 to the defense, and the defense is struggling, and I struggled more than the offense, and I agree with that. But you got to think about the weight of these picks: a 1st round pick, a 2nd round pick, versus a 4th, a 6th, and a 7th. I mean, the 2nd round pick alone outweighs the other 3 players, and then that's not even considering the 1st round pick. So I think this was a solid draft for the Commanders. They get an edge rusher, they get a cornerback, and they get a receiving option, another running back option. I don't know if that's enough, but it's a swing. I like Taj Brooks out of Texas Tech, has some connections obviously to the Commanders offensive staff, especially Cliff Kingsbury, and they got Brandon Crenshaw Dixon. So that is it for today's video. Hope you guys did enjoy the mock draft. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe if you guys new, and peace.